You're listening to the Jam Price Show all about movies, and today I'm honored to have actress Joanna Poitier on the show to talk about this wonderful, wonderful book entitled Sidney Poitier, The Great Speeches of an Icon Who Moved Us Forward. Welcome to the show, Joanna.
Thank you.
So lovely to have
Be
you.
here.
And by the way, happy birthday.
I know, 81. It's like, I don't know how happy that is, but I'm happy to be alive. That's a good thing.
You look fabulous. You look fabulous. Today is my brother's and my niece's birthday, so it's a good day for birthday.
Oh,
Very
great.
good day. So this book is so beautiful, such a wonderful tribute to your husband and your beloved husband. We all love Sidney Poitier. I remember seeing Lilies of the Field when I was very, very little. And
It's film I saw too.
sorry,
This,
was
yeah.
that the first one
One
you saw of his too?
one of the first ones, yeah.
So
Hmm.
how did this book? I'm going to hold it up for everyone. This is the book. It's a beautiful book. How did it all come about? What made you decide to put this book? Because it's, he was prolific as far as wonderful speeches. So what made you decide to create this book?
Well, when Sidney died, I'm in his office now. This was his office, and I was going through all the papers and stuff, and I came upon a whole big drawer full. I mean, hundreds of speeches. A lot of them I wasn't privy to. Some of them I was because I was there, but most of them were done many years ago. Plus, anyway, it was like I started reading them and I thought, oh, they're so beautiful because, some of the words are, I mean, he just was amazing. And I said, it's a shame to waste them. And I thought, well, maybe I'll try and see if anybody's interested. And I put it out there with what used to be his agent at CAA. And they found running press, the Hachette people who were interested. So we did the book. Yeah.
It's lovely. It's
I mean,
lovely.
we only have a certain amount of speeches in the book, but hundreds more. I mean, it's like unbelievable what we have here.
There's
Yeah.
more because there's a lot in this book.
Oh, yeah, there's a whole bunch more. The drawer is still half full.
Well, then volume two, we'll have to, you'll
Right.
have to bring out volume two. Get this one out there. Well, this is and we'll talk about, it's a great gift. It's a wonderful gift. Certainly the holidays coming up. This would be a wonderful gift for anyone who loves Sidney Poitier and loves movies. And it just brings back, you hear his voice
Yeah,
when
and
you're
also
reading.
the fact that, he was very, very little educated. And I mean, he was amazing. I mean, he is self-taught and, I just don't, it amazes me.
That is, I don't think any of us knew that he was self-taught because he was so eloquent and everything that he ever did. So that was remarkable to know that also that he, you know, didn't have much of an education, yet we always felt he was very educated and certainly an intellectual for sure. Oprah Winfrey did the introduction, the foreword to this book, and I know that she and Sydney were very close. Can you talk a little bit about that relationship that they had?
They had a really wonderful relationship, and I'm glad I'm not a jealous person because she loved him a lot and he loved her. And every Sunday they would have this phone call, and she would call up, "Hi, Joanna, is my boyfriend there?" And I would put them on, and they would talk for like an hour. I don't know what they talked about, but they had so much to say to each other. But she loved Sidney from the time that she was a little girl and she saw him get the Academy Award. And she said, wow, if he can do it, I can do it, kind of thing. So, yeah, they had a very, very special relationship. And that didn't make me jealous. It made me happy.
I know, and she said in the foreword that she regretted that she didn't record those phone calls, with his permission, as she says, because there were so many wonderful things in them. And I guess she wrote notes, but she said not enough to do a book. So I'm glad that you have all these speeches.
Yeah, she really, really, really had a long relationship with him.
Yes,
Yeah.
he really did. One of the things she said, he personified eloquence, integrity, and grace. and also that we get a glimpse of his wisdom, his wit, his grace, and his words through this book. So it's a wonderful gift for all of us who loved him so much to read, these great speeches. One that I was particularly um, it, drawn to was the one with George Stevens Jr. because I've had George Stevens Jr. on my show twice. He came on when he wrote his autobiography, and then when he did the audiobook, he came back on the show a year later. So because his book's like super thick. And so when I got it, so I was like, there's lots to talk about it in his life. And I realized how close they were, how George Stevens Jr. and Sidney Poitier were so close. Can you talk a little bit more about their relationship?
I didn't get.
George Stevens Jr.
Hmm.
He founded the AFI, American Film Institute.
I don't really know about the relationships. I really couldn't say very much, but um, oh, no, you're talking about George Stevens.
George Stevens Jr.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Okay, I didn't get that. I'm sorry.
that's
Um,
okay.
yeah, they've had a long relationship, and you know, it was between the two of them, actually. I never really was sort of privy to all of it, but they did have a very long, loving relationship.
He's a lovely, lovely man. Also, George Stevens Jr. is. He's a wonderful man. Is there a particular speech for you that stood out, that one that really touched you more than some of the others?
One of the best speech, well,
Yes,
obviously the one that he did for my daughter when she was married, that, and when they got graduated, they graduated from college. But all of them, they're all pretty amazing. I mean, it's like it was hard to choose. It was hard to choose, which ones to send off. And mostly they chose the ones that we sent, but some were rejected and some were asked, they asked for different ones and we just did it. But I still have a whole drawer full, so we'll see what happens with that. Yeah.
definitely, definitely. Talk about how you met your husband and about because you had you were the love of his life and you were with him for well over 50 years. So,
Well,
do you
54
mind?
years,
Yeah,
54.
what amazing. And talk about how you met him and your love story, if you don't mind.
Well, I lived in Paris and I made French movies. I was a model first, and then I was asked to do some movies, and I made some movies. And I guess the director of The Lost Man, his wife saw the movie. One of the movies was playing in New York, and she went to see it. And they asked me if I would come and test for a movie with Sidney Poitier. Now, I had never seen any of Sidney's films at that point because I lived in Paris and, we didn't go to the movies for some reason. I don't know why. But I saw that he was playing in a movie in London, the one with the blind girl, a patch of,
Patch of,
a
patch
patch
of
of
blue,
blue,
patch of blue. Yes,
patch of blue. And so I saw it and I thought, oh God, he's really, really good, But so then I said, okay. And they wanted me to come and test. And I said, I don't like to test. So I don't want to test. Thank you very much. But, if you want me, fine, but I'm not going to test. So they called me back and they said, okay, you don't have to test. You come and meet him. And I had to come and do costumes. I think it was Edith Head or something. And I went to Los Angeles to Universal Studios commissary and had lunch with the producers. And Sidney walks in and he's got this pale blue suit on with a little ascot, and he looked kind of cute actually. Um, and he was very sweet. And we had a nice lunch and we talked, and I thanked him. And funnily enough, in his book, when he wrote his first book, This Life, he talks about this little Paris model, meaning me, who wouldn't test. you know, we also said about Diane Carroll, the beautiful Diane Carroll. But anyway, we talked, and he said he was coming to Paris in, I think it was June. And so I said, oh, okay, well, if you do come, give me a call. And I gave him my phone number. And in June, he came and he called me and he said he'd like to go to the Louvre and have lunch, go to the Louvre, have lunch and go to the Louvre. And I said, okay. So I went to the hotel to meet him. And he was at the Hotel de la Tremoille at the time, and he was in a suite. And I went up to the suite and rang the bell. And he opened the door and he was in his PJs, his pajamas. I thought, okay. And he said, I'm so sorry, I overslept. He was jet lagged, I guess. He said, but we can have lunch here and then we'll think about, going to the Louvre. I said, okay. And we had lunch and it was very nice and we talked and stuff. But he decided he didn't want to go to the Louvre. He would go tomorrow, the day next day. So I said, okay. And I'm leaving the suite and I'm walking towards the elevator and he's at the door and he said, has anybody ever told you you have childbearing hips? And I thought, what a thing to say. Oh my God, I mean, I was 120 pounds and now I'm 150, 60 or something. So it was like, it wasn't like I was chubby. Oh, anyway, I said no. And then I got in the elevator and left. The next day we had lunch and then he went back. I think he went to Rome or someplace. But then I didn't see him again until we met in Philadelphia to do the movie, which was in September, I think. Yeah, end of September.
And what was the movie that you did
And we made the
together?
movie and
What
huh?
was the name of the movie that you did together?
The Lost Man,
The Lost Me.
Lost Man. I think it was a remake of another movie a long time ago. But anyway, we did the movie and we'd have dinner and, lunch and spent a lot of time together. And I was engaged to be married to an Englishman at the time. And I don't know, one thing led to another, and that was it. You know, that was it.
That was it. You both knew.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah,
How were
we've had
you?
a,
Go ahead.
hmm?
Go ahead. You had a what?
I mean, we've had an amazing, long, wonderful, happy life. I mean, we never really fought. We never really, it was kind of interesting. And he was always like, we called each other dad and mom, I guess. It was like weird. He was just that, he wasn't Sidney Poitier, the big deal, to me. He was just a really wonderful, extraordinary human being.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, he was. And
I was blessed to have him and to know him and to be with him. Yes.
you were. You are. We're definitely blessed to
Mhm.
be watching over you now for
Yeah.
sure. How are you doing? How are you doing since his
How am
passing?
I doing?
Yes.
How am I doing now?
Yeah. I mean, he passed away in
Uh,
January.
I'm 81 years old. I have to have two hip replacements, and I keep putting it off, but I have to do it. And I think I'm doing it. I think I have I think December the 30th, they want to do it or something like that. And I thought, oh God, well, it's the new year and maybe it's a good thing. New hips, new year. But
There
I'm
you go.
doing fine.
Good.
It's different. It's different. It's just different.
Yeah, I can imagine.
We
Well,
spent a lot of time together, always together, even although I never went on any of the sets that when he made movies, I never went on a set, but I was always there, cooking. I cooked for him all the time. Yeah. Mhm.
that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, if it's any, my girlfriend just had her hip replaced and she's just doing fine with it. And I've had several other friends who've had hip replacements too. They all seem to be just fine. So you'll be okay.
That's what everybody says, but I'm not into, I mean, I don't want to be put out. I don't like to be put out. So I'm doing a spinal, what do you call it? Spinal thing. An epidural. Mhm.
Epidural. Okay. Good. Well, we'll hold you in our thoughts for that, that it all goes well for sure. For sure.
Mhm.
What's your life like now? Was this book cathartic for you when you were putting it together?
Well, not really. I mean, there's so many things in here when you look around. I mean, if it's all about Sidney and all the people there's all of his friends, a lot of Oprah, a lot of Mandela, a lot, and his awards, all of his awards. So it's like he's still here, kind of. Yeah,
Imagine.
I'm I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have had him in my life, and I'm appreciative of all the time we had. We had a long life together, so yeah.
Yeah, we're lucky and very blessed. I had the honor of, they showed the documentary Sydney that Oprah produced.
Mhm.
And Oprah was here. I live in Santa Barbara, so it was the International Santa Barbara International Film Festival, or Riviera Theater. They had a special screening, and Oprah came. It was in Montecito, as you know, and Reggie Hudlin came and spoke afterwards and did a Q&A with Roger Durling, our executive director, and that was just a beautiful documentary about his life. There was so much. Afterwards, we were saying our new phrase became, "What would Sydney do in this situation?" Whatever situation came up, he became our new um, benchmark for how to live our lives after watching that film. It was so beautifully done. And that's so we would, if something would come up, we go, okay, so what would Sydney do in this situation? Or what would Sydney say in this situation?
Well, he was an amazing person and totally self-taught, and he was loyal. His ex-wife is one of my best friends,
Oh,
Juanita, and he had four beautiful daughters with her and beautiful grandchildren and great grandchildren, and I'm in contact with them all the time. And then we have two beautiful, wonderful children and grandchildren together. So there's like a lot of connection, and all due to Sidney because that's the way he was. That was his thing. Yeah.
yeah, he was a beautiful soul inside and out. And as I said, a benchmark for all of us. Were you involved at all in the documentary? And obviously they started this before he passed away because it came out in 2022.
Yeah, no. mm, They asked me, if it was okay to do it, but of course I said yes, and that was it. I didn't really have that much to do with it. Mm-mm.
Well, it was certainly Oprah's love
Yeah.
letter to Sydney. There's no question about it.
Well, the whole thing was when she did that interview with him for her show a long time ago, she used that too, which was how part of the documentary. And yeah, so yeah, she loved him. She loved him. And
Yeah.
it's okay. I'm glad she loved him. Yeah.
Well, he was like a father to her, in many ways. Wasn't he?
Well, I'm not sure about a father thing. I think it was more than that. Yeah. But she had a big crush on him. Yeah.
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 Who wouldn't?
Yeah, he was cute. He was cute.
And Reggie Hudlin, who directed the film, he and his wife were instrumental in introducing, not many people know this, I don't think, introducing Kamala Harris and Doug Emhoff. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah,
Oh.
they were both responsible for it. Actually, Reggie Hudlin's wife, Chrisette, was the one that introduced them.
Well, she's doing great. We'll keep our fingers crossed and see what happens. Yeah. Be wonderful.
Yeah, lots of prayers. But and then Reggie did for the Democratic convention, he did the video on her life story, on Kamala's life story. So that was done by Reggie.
Mm,
I don't know if you knew that either, but he's an excellent, director himself too.
great.
There's so many people in this book that Sydney. I mean, if this is only part of it. I can't imagine what else you have because this table of contents in this book is pretty big. But he did so many. I mean, he's Quincy Jones and Diane Carroll and Lawrence Fishburne and of course Denzel Washington, Melvin Van Peebles, the Thurgood Marshall tribute. Do you remember going to these and seeing him? I mean, he
The
did
only
like
things that most of the things I did not go to because they were out of town, and we really never traveled together because of our children. So we would go on separate planes, and I'm not that crazy about flying. So, and he was gone for a day or two. That was about the most. So, but all the others, I did, the Quincy Jones and all of our friends, yes, I remember going to them. Yeah, but he was an amazing writer, prolific. He was wonderful. He was good.
he was an amazing writer when you read. I mean, we all, as I said, when you're when you're reading it, his voice was in my head at least. I could hear his voice saying these words, and so it was so beautiful, But he he did he take? It seems like he took a long time to write these. Do you remember him doing the process when he was going
Yeah,
through the
he
writing?
wrote everything, and it did take a long time. And yeah, but he was very amazing. I mean, when you consider he had hardly any education, I think he had 3 or 4 years of schooling, and he's totally self-taught, and had a Bahamian accent and got rid of it by listening to, I forget who the guy was on the radio, and he was in, and he was not like today. The actors today make a whole bunch of money because they do commercials and they do all this other stuff. He never did that. He always said, "I'm an actor. That's it. That's it. I'm not." So he never did a commercial, and he was offered a lot of money. And I would think, "Oh my God, why not?" But he was that way. He was very special. He was a very special person, one of a kind. And he was born prematurely. He only weighed like 2.5 or 3 pounds, and his mother was very sad and was like, they were thinking he wouldn't make it, and so she went to see a soothsayer in Miami because he was born prematurely in Miami. They were tomato farmers who went to Miami to sell their tomatoes, and the soothsayer said to him, "Do not worry, he will live a long life and he will walk with kings." I get chills every time I
Yeah,
say that.
I just got chills when you said it. It's amazing.
Yeah. So, and he's like, in this whole family, everybody's like maybe 5'8", 5'10". He was 6'3", 6 feet 3 inches, and he was a little tiny, tiny baby. Amazing. So he was meant to be and very special.
Yes,
You know.
he
Yeah.
was, and to be the first Black actor ever to win an Academy Award and led the way. And as you say, Oprah saw that and was inspired by it, as well as Denzel Washington and many other actors who wanted to follow in his footsteps because he paved the way for all of them to know if he can do it, I can do it too. And that's inspiring.
Yes. He was amazing.
Yes, he was a very inspiring man on his own, just
The
by
funny
himself
thing
doing what he did. Go ahead.
the funny thing is his best friend was Harry Belafonte.
Who
And
I also love.
they were the same age, and at the Negro ensemble or something like that. And he was the understudy for Harry. And Harry was out one night because his father was sick and he was a janitor, so Harry had to take over. And Sidney went on stage, and that's how his whole career started. But they remained friends all that time, even though Sidney kind of stole Harry's career that way.
Well, Harry's more, I mean, he is an actor too, but, it's singing. He also had that.
Sidney couldn't sing, never. I mean, he was totally tone deaf. And I think it was in, what is it, in Lilies of the Field where he had to sing. Yeah, wasn't his
Yes.
voice. No, he couldn't sing. No.
Did he have some trouble with that then?
Huh?
Did he have trouble doing that in the Lilies of the Field?
I don't know because that was before my time. Yeah. But yeah, no, he didn't have a voice.
So, after you met him, and you continued with your career, correct? Did you continue to act afterwards?
No, I did when I first met him, I did a couple of other films. And but after that, when I had children, my mother worked all of my life, and I was like a latchkey kid. So I never had a mother or a father home until like 7 o'clock at night. And then it was time to go to bed. So I decided not to do that with my children. I wanted to be the mother that I never had. So I gave up my career. And it was, I don't think there's room for two people in a movie,
It's
film
hard.
relationship. Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard, especially when you have children. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, and also you have to travel and, be away from each other. And we never actually spent any time away, really. Maybe the most of 2 days at a time if he had to go and do a speech or something. But basically, we were together as a family. He was more like just dad. He was dad. That was it. He wasn't Sidney Poitier, the actor, a big deal. Yeah.
Well, I think he had his ego in check. He wasn't one that didn't seem like he had a big ego, and that's great. You
Yeah,
know,
he had no ego whatsoever.
down
No.
to earth,
Yeah.
grounded. That's why you
Yeah.
certain actors, you can see their souls when they're
Mhm.
on the screen, and he was one of those actors where you could see his soul, his spirit,
Mhm.
and that's what came through, and that's why we loved him, no matter what kind of role he was doing. We were just in love with who he was on that screen.
And I think so, we met in 1968, and that was the time when, blacks and whites weren't really, nobody ever, we had no problem whatsoever. No, none.
That's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Nobody sort of touched Sydney, really. I mean, he never had any real problems. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's great to say.
He
Well,
was
thank you.
blessed. I think he was blessed.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you were too. And thank you so much for being on my show today on your birthday. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. I'm going to hold up the book again. Sidney Poitier, The Great Speeches of an Icon Who Moved Us Forward. It's a fabulous, fabulous book, and it's a great gift. So as we're coming into the holidays, the birthday gift, anniversary present, and Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever, it's a great gift, and it's beautifully done.
And your background looks like my background.
Except I don't have Sidney Poitier's
It looks like we could be
statues
moving
and
in the
things
same.
here.
Anyway, it was wonderful to meet you.
You
And
too, Joanna. I wish you much success with your surgery and everything, and with the book for sure, for sure.
okay.
So thank you so much for being here. For all my loyal listeners, if you would like to support the Jan Price Show all about movies, now you can give a tax-free donation. Go to creativevisions.org. That's creativevisions.org. And find the Jan Price Show in the podcast section where you can make a tax-free donation. Thank you in advance for all of your support. Thank you, Joanna.
Thank you. Lots of love.